In this section, we will review the expenditure regulations found in 34 CFR 300.133 and district requirements. These 4 district requirements will be discussed in depth in the upcoming slides. The first requirement of expenditures is the formula. To meet the requirement of providing special education and related services to children with disabilities enrolled at a non-public school, each district must spend an amount that is the same proportion of the district's total subgrant under Section 611 as the number of children enrolled by their parents in non-public schools served by the district is to the total number of children with disabilities in its jurisdiction. Annual allocations for Section 611 for school-aged children account for the district's current fiscal year allocation amount only. It does not include carryover amounts from the prior fiscal year. The district's children with disabilities count is the total number of children ages 3 through 21 attending both public and non-public schools who were eligible for special education as of October 31st of the preceding year. There may be children attending non-public schools who are or were identified as children with disabilities but did not have a services plan developed. These children are still to be counted as part of the proportionate share calculation. You may notice that children ages 3 to 5 are counted twice, once for the Section 611 or school age set-aside, and again for the Section 619 or preschool set-aside. This is because Section 611 or school age funding is for children ages 3 to 21 and Section 619 or preschool funding is for children ages 3 to 5. Part of the calculation to determine a district's Section 611 or school age and preschool formula allocation considers total child enrollment, and in those calculations, 3 to 5-year-old children are also counted twice. Districts have one fiscal year and an additional carryover fiscal year, otherwise known as the 27-month period, to spend a single year's set-aside. A best practice would be to focus on spending as much of the reserved amount as possible during the first year. It should only be in rare situations that a district would have carryover in its proportionate share funds. If the district doesn't expend all the proportionate share of its Part B subgrant by the end of the fiscal year for which Congress appropriated the funds, the district must obligate the remaining funds for special education and related services to parentally placed non-public school children with disabilities during a carryover period of one additional year. This slide illustrates a simplified form of the calculation. After timely and meaningful consultation with representatives of parentally placed non-public school children with disabilities, districts must determine the number of parentally placed non-public school children with disabilities attending non-public schools located within the geographic boundaries of the district. It is important to note that the annual count must take into account all non-public schools located within the district's jurisdiction, include all children identified as having a disability, and include children on scholarships. The department uses a web-based reporting tool for collecting data for non-public school children participating in IDEA called the Non-Public Data System, referred to as NPDS. To ensure accurate data is provided in NPDS, district administrators are encouraged to assist non-public schools by informing them of when NPDS is available, relaying the importance of participating in the data collection, and showing them how to access the NPDS website through the ODE web portal, also known as the SAFE account. There are 4 steps to completing NPDS. 1. Non-public schools enter the data for enrollment, economically disadvantaged and academically eligible children. 2. Non-public schools indicate the grants in which they intend to participate. Non-public schools can participate even if they enroll and serve as children on scholarship. 3. Public school districts provide for consultation with the non-public schools. And 4. Non-public and public school districts finalize the participation form by confirming programs in which they intend to participate. The non-public school must indicate its intent to receive or decline special education services in the non-public data system. Specific to expenditures, districts must also identify the annual count of the number of parentally placed non-public school children with disabilities within their geographic boundaries. For example, if Jane resides in School District A and Jane attends a non-public school in School District B, then School District B is responsible for conducting child find for Jane. As provided in 34 CFR 300.133d, state and local funds may be used to supplement but not supplant the district's proportionate share of federal funds required to be expended on non-public school children enrolled by their parents in non-public schools. Each district with non-public schools located within its jurisdiction is required to spend the proportionate amount of its IDEA grant on equitable services. Nothing in the IDEA regulations prohibits the district from expending more than the proportionate share requires. However, state and local funds may only be used to supplement but not supplant the district's proportionate share of federal funds required to be expended on equitable services. Please note, the district's only expenditure requirement for providing special education services to non-public school children enrolled by their parents in non-public schools is equal to the amount the district must set aside from its IDEA funds. If the IDEA set-aside amount is met before the end of the fiscal year, the district is not required to provide any additional services beyond the amount of the proportionate share.